All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day of SaberSim's DFS office hours. It is Friday, July 14th of 2023, officially the first day of the second half of the MLB season. MLB returns today with a big 14-game main slate. I'm looking forward to it myself. I hope all of you are as well. Aside from MLB here, we have PGA cut today. Good luck to all of you with your cut sweats. We have Showdown over the weekend. It is Friday. We do this show Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern. So last show of the week here. If you guys have any questions, you want to get in ahead of the weekend here with MMA on Saturday, with NASCAR on Sunday, now would be the time to get those questions in. But for those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Andrew. I'm one of the coaches over here at SaberSims, a show where we go over how to use the SaberSim app, answer any and all DFS related questions. Questions can come in one of three ways. You can reach us via support send an email to support@sabersim.com letting us know what your question is, and we will answer it on this show. You can post questions live in the YouTube chat, and you can also post questions in the Office Hours channel in our Discord server. If you're not in our Discord and want to get joined up, there's a link in the description below. Get access to all of our similar channels, get access to all of our individual sport channels where members of the community and other members of the SaberSim team are interacting each and every day, giving and taking feedback around DFS related concepts. It is a great place to hang out if you want to grow your knowledge as a DFS player here. But with that being said, going to get the app pulled up. We have one question that came in via support here. We have a couple questions that came in the office hours channel. So we are going to start with those and see where we go from there. But should be a fun show. Glad to be able to talk some MLB here. First question that came in via support. Question says, one question I have for you as head coach that I have been struggling with in my approach is how many lineups to take. Let's say I have 350 entries on FanDuel. Should I build 5,000 lineups and take the top 350? Or should I double up on some and take 300 or even 200 and have some duplicates? Just wanted to see your point of view on this, as I have not seen this scenario in any of the coaching videos so far. Okay, so this is a good question to get us started today. So the answer here is it's going to depend on two things. One, the contest you're playing. Two, the approach that you want to take here in your risk management. So I'll tell you guys how I think about this, and you can, run with that or adapt that to however you feel as like a DFS player, your risk tolerance, etc. So the way I like to approach this is that, I like to get as much action down under $3 as I can, right? So say you're playing on FanDuel, like you said, you might be playing all the satellites, right? They have a ton of satellites. They have 10-cent satellites, 25-cent satellites, $1 satellites, right? Where sometimes, you're playing for a $4 ticket, a $5 ticket, but you could rack these tickets up at a discounted price, right? You're playing all these 10-cent satellites. You might be winning these $4 tickets. So, you might be getting these $4 tickets and might actually be costing you $2 because you're winning so many of them, right? So that's a great way to get access to some higher dollar contests at a discounted rate, right? But it's you run into this problem where, like, okay, I'm playing all these small satellites. I'm also playing, the piggy bank, which is a 150 max. I'm playing the 222, which is a 20 max or 25 max. I don't really want to play a unique lineup in every single contest where my highest scoring lineup ends up in a satellite that wins $4 when I instead could have played it in one of these GPPs and took down, $1,000 first place prize, right? That'll feel really bad. So the way that I handle this personally is I go through my contest list and I see which contest do I care about the first place prize, which contest where if I win makes an impact on me, on my bankroll, etc. here, right? And I set those contests aside. So that might be the piggy bank, which is 150 entries. That might be the 222, which is 20 entries. That might be the 25-cent 20 max, which is 20 entries. So then that right there is 190 lineups. And then I have all of these other satellites where I'm winning, smaller dollar tickets, right? So I might build 190 lineups for those 3 GPP contests. And then from that 190, duplicate those lineups into my satellites, where at least I know that if one of those has a really high scoring outcome, it's going to win me a GPP, and then it will also win me a satellite, kind of as like an added bonus, as a cherry on top, right? But I'm not missing the pie, right? I'm getting my pie with that first place GPP finish, and then I'm getting the cherry or cherries on top of those satellite wins if that lineup ends up in, one satellite, two satellites, depending on how many times it is duplicated. So that's the way I like to approach it. Go through your contest list, see which contests matter to you from a first place prize equity standpoint, and then build unique lineups for those contests and then duplicate the rest, right? Or another approach here, which I'm totally okay with, is taking all of your entries, right? You have 350 entries. Maybe you build 350 unique lineups, but when you go to fill them, you order them based on the same principle, right? Which contests matter to you the most. So you're putting your highest prize to first as your top contest, your second highest prize to first as your second contest, and then you are ordering them down, and you're filling them unique rank. So in this version, right, you are playing you are playing 350 unique lineups, but you're putting your top 190 lineups, going based off the example that we're rolling with here. You're putting your top 190 lineups into the top 3 contests that we talked about. And then you are filling each additional entry, each satellite from that point on, with a unique lineup. But at least if one of those lineups in the satellite ends up scoring higher than one of your three contests in your GPP, at least hey, I would never have gotten to this lineup anyways, right? If I was building 190 lineups, I basically would have never got to any one of these lineups 191 through 350. So you're entering unique, but you know that you're entering your top 190 lineups into those 3 contests you care about, and then you're just entering unique lineups further down your contest list from there that you would have never played anyways, right? So I think one of those 2 options is a really good option here if you're looking to figure out how you want to do it. So if you want to value unique lineups, use the unique rank method here, where you're putting your top contests at the top of your entry editor here and then filling from there. Or if you are okay with duplicating lineups, just build 190, make sure that you're putting 190 into those 3 contests that you care about, and then duplicating all of your satellites from there. So those are the 2 best ways that I would suggest handling this particular situation. But really good question to get us started today. This question did come in from support, so we will get a timestamp recording of this question being answered back over to you. All right, next question here from Alvis. Question says, how do you approach today's MLB Main with so many games with weather concerns? Okay, so let's jump over here and let's check out what the weather concerns look like here. So if you guys aren't familiar, Roto Grinders has this free MLB weather dashboard here run by Kevin Roth, where you can come in and at a glance see what the weather for today's contest looks like, right? So we're seeing a lot of weather, like you said. So yellow, orange, yellow, green, yellow, orange, green, yellow. So if you guys aren't familiar with this, green is like good to go, possibly even a good hitting environment. Yellow is like, hey, there's some rain. Might want to be a little careful here, but probably not too much postponement risk. Where we get into orange is postponement risk territory here, or a game that doesn't finish, right? Maybe goes 6 innings or something like that. And then red is like really bad, probably going to get postponed, high postpone likelihood here. So a lot of orange on this slate. I think that's the big thing that you're looking for, right? Orange, yellow. I would say that even yellow, you can read these descriptions a little bit. If there's a really high chance for a delay, sometimes what I do is let's see. So San Diego, Philly here. I haven't read through all of this here, but I do see a chance for a delay here. If the reports that are coming in say that there is like solid chance for a delay, but the delay will pass and the rest of the game should play out fine, I might just go and X pitchers from that game. So that's something that I do pretty frequently here. So I actually don't see San Diego Philly on the main slate. They might be playing earlier here. So let's go take another update. Let's see. Let's just use Boston Chicago as an example here. We'll say that, hey, high likelihood for a delay, but game should play out fine after the storm passes. So for this Boston Chicago game, what I would do here normally is go into these two teams, filter for them, go to pitchers, and then I would just X their starting pitchers. This is a big 14 game slate with a lot of options here. So that's 28 starting pitchers. You do not need to take huge risks on these guys in these weather games, especially if there's a high chance for a delay here. So that's normally how I handle this from a pitcher perspective. I'm okay leaving the hitters in if that's the case. But then, let's go and look at like an orange slate, this Tampa Bay KC game. It says storms clearing after first pitch. I think a late start is likely, but if they are patient, it is clear the rest of the night. So based on kind of the wording here, and then he'll also update this about an hour to lock. I'll come back and check on some of these weather games. But let's say that the coverage was worse, right? Like, hey, not really sure what they're going to do here. Postponement is very much in the works, right? So this is going to come down to what site you are playing on, okay? And the reason for that is DraftKings handles this much differently than FanDuel does, right? So let's say that this game started right at lock. We'll say that this game started at, this 7 p.m. Eastern. If this game starts in a delay on FanDuel, if they end up postponing it, what FanDuel will do, they will essentially move the lock time, the game start time. They'll change it to the last game on the slate and let you swap out your players. So there's not a ton of risk playing weather games on FanDuel in the case that the game does not start, right? So if they play one inning, the game goes to a delay, the game gets postponed, they will not unlock the players. But if the game starts in a delay, the game gets postponed, they will unlock the players. You could swap those players accordingly here, right? So on FanDuel, not a ton of risk. On DraftKings, if this game starts in a delay and the game gets postponed, you're dead. Those players all get zeros. So you want to be a lot more careful in those situations, right? So generally, big 14 game slate. I think that MLB specifically, there's a lot of paths to victory here. So you could probably find a different combination where you could still take down your contest, right? There was a really good example of this in the DFS Daily newsletter recently here, where Dr. Toy, who is a SaberSim user, came in second place in a DFS contest, and he had a score of like 233.2, and the winning lineup had a score of 233.3. So literally 0.1 point difference for a 75K swing, which is absolutely brutal. But aside from that, one thing that the newsletter noted or pointed out was that the winning lineup in Dr. Toy's lineup only shared one player across those lineups, right? And there's 9 players in a FanDuel MLB lineup here. So baseball is this interesting sport where there are actually a lot of paths to victory, kind of different from a sport like NBA, where if you miss out on like the value player, it's going to be pretty hard for you. You're probably going to share a lot more players with like the top 5 lineups in the contest here. Baseball, not so much like that. So a lot of paths to victory for baseball. I think it's probably better to just X those teams, especially if they're chalky, right? So I don't know who has the highest implied run total for some of these weather games, but say that who's super high. Okay, this is actually a great example. So Tampa Bay, we have Tampa Bay at a 6.2 implied run total. Their game is orange, right? So let's say that this weather report isn't terrible here. Storms clearing after first pitch. I think a late start is likely, but if they are patient, it clears the rest of the night. So it's like, hey, game might start late, but they're good after that, right? Let's say that, there was legit postponement risk in this Tampa Bay game. Tampa Bay is probably going to be pretty chalky with such a high implied run total here. They're probably vying for ownership very close to the Yankees in Colorado, and there are 2 teams above 6 here. It might be worth just Xing Tampa Bay and say, hey, I'm going to go look elsewhere, right? So, one, this is a way to be different from the field. I think that, there are anecdotally here, and from what I've heard from other players I talked to, a lot of people don't take this into account too much. They're okay playing some of these weather games here. So this is something that you learn from playing slates over and over. You get to see how people are handling the weather here. So people are saying, hey, regardless of the forecast, I'm playing Tampa Bay. They're a great spot. That may be a great option to just get away from him there. On the other hand, right, if you're seeing something different, if people are actively getting away from Tampa Bay because of the weather report, they're still a high implied run total team here. So maybe you can get an ownership discount, right? Maybe you can play them at a little bit lesser ownership percentage here. And hopefully the game plays based on, the weather report, and you get a good team at a discount, right? So in general here, I think it's okay to stay away from these games that have postponement risk. But I would, one, look at the weather report. I would, two, wait for the update within an hour to lock here, and then make your decisions from there. So I think that, one, know what site you're playing on because they handle it differently. Two, wait for the latest and greatest weather report. And then three, figure out, what other tout sites are saying about this game, right? Are they telling their people to fade it? Are they telling their people it's going to be okay? You can, use a little bit of qualitative analysis there to enhance the likelihood that these players are played or aren't played, et cetera, here, and make decisions about what you want to do from there. So not a wrong or right answer here. Going to really depend, but I hope that gives you some things to think about here and to work into your process. All right. Another really good question here. Next question from Motown. Motown said, does adjusting projections negatively or positively affect the sims? Great question here. And so basically, let's do a reset here. Going to reset any projection adjustments I've made, etc. here with this red reset button up at the top. And the way this works, right? I'm going to use a pitcher, for example. I think it's a little easier to showcase here. Let's say that I think that Shohei Ohtani is going to strike a lot of people out, pitch really well here, right? So we have him at 19.77. Let's say that I want to put him up to 21.77, a 2-point projection increase here. 77. Okay, so now he's my highest projected pitcher. And if I go and click on his name, this will show you his range of outcomes in our sims. This is a summary, basically, of how he did in all of our sim outputs. We have thousands and thousands of sims. These show you the different buckets that he falls into across those sims, right? So his most likely outcome is about his projection here at about 14%. We say that, 1% of the time he is scoring 40 plus points, and about 3% of the time he is scoring 0 points. So this would be an outcome where, he gets lit up, and then this would probably be outcome on the 40 side where he, throws really, really well, goes deep into the game, possibly, a complete game, etc. here, right? So this is his range of outcomes. When you adjust his projection by 2 points, what you are doing is you are shifting this distribution. So every time he gets 0, he now gets 2. Every time he gets 40, now he gets 42. Every time he gets 20, he gets 22, right? So what you are doing is you're raising the floor, you are raising his ceiling, and that is how we are accounting for your adjustment here. And then similarly, if you were to give him a negative adjustment, every time he scores 40, he now scores 38. Every time he scores 20, he now scores 18. So we are basically taking our range of outcomes and then putting your custom projection adjustment on top of that and adjusting from there. So one, you get the access to our range of outcomes, and then two, you get your adjustment on top of that, right? So a little bit of the best of both worlds here, and that is how we handle those adjustments. All right, question from Motown. Second question. Question says, you know what, let me get rid of this clutter here and just get SaberSim pulled back up since we are done talking about weather. Next question says, what is a way to tell Saber Do not stack these particular teams, but still get one-offs from these teams. I don't want to X out anything pre-build until I can see what SaberSim gives me first. Okay, so let's say that, I want to take a team like Cleveland, maybe, low implied run total, but I'm totally okay playing, J-Ram as a one-off, Stephen Kwan, Jose Naylor, some of these players as one-offs here, right? So what I would do is I would go to lineup rules. I would write a group rule here. So I'm going to go to add new rule, rule type group. I'm going to rule type automatic here. And then what I'm going to say is use no more than one. I'm going to group by team here. And then I'm going to save these as manual rules. Okay. So once I save these as manual rules, I can click this drop down and then it's going to create a different rule for every team here. So from here, what you can do is say that, you don't want to play Cleveland. Like I said, I can go and look at what this rule says. So if I click this pencil, it basically took all 9 of the Cleveland hitters in the lineup and then says use no more than one. So that's exactly what I wanted. Great. So then from here, the only tedious part is that you're going to have to go through here and uncheck all of these other teams here. This is a good option if there are more than one team that you want to do this rule for here. So then I would just go through and basically uncheck the rule, which makes it inactive for every team except Cleveland here. So this is one way to do it. The other way would be to do this same rule, which, it takes a little bit, but I just knocked through it right now. So then now this rule is only active for Cleveland. Say you only want to do this for one rule, and say you want to do this rule for only one team and not multiple teams. You can also do this as a manual rule. So then rule type group, selection method manual, use no more than one. And then I can just go to Cleveland and then I'm just going to sort by order here. And then I'm just going to check in their 9 hitters, right? So then boom, now all 9 hitters are in this rule. I'm going to hit save. And then now that is the same rule just for one team, right? So if you're going to do this for multiple teams, do the automatic rule and then uncheck the teams you don't want. And then if you're going to do this for one team in particular, probably just easier to do a manual rule. And then you only have to click, 9 times for the 9 hitters, as opposed to uncheck all 27 other teams that you don't want the rule for. So those are the 2 ways to write that rule that I have found work best here. All right. TX in the Office Hours channel said, is this for the live? So every day in the Office Hours channel in Discord, I send a going live notification or a upcoming stream notification an hour before the show. You can just click that invitation and then it will give you the link to watch this show live on YouTube. And then we also stream this show on Twitter as well. If you follow us on Twitter at SaberSim. All right. We are all caught up with questions at the moment, questions from support, questions from the Discord here. I see a lot of people still tuning in. What is going on, everybody? Glad you guys can make the show. Happy to be back for the start of the MLB second half here. But while we wait for any last questions to come in, just want to remind you guys, if you guys are not playing over on Owner's Box, highly recommend taking advantage of our partnership with them. They are an up-and-coming DFS site here that are continuing to grow here. We were the first major optimizer to support them at the beginning of the MLB DFS season here. It's been a great partnership to date. One of my favorite things is that a lot of their contests are overlaying right now. They are sizing up their contests, trying to grow. So that means overlay that you can capture, right? So there are contests where they are not even filling to the rake point where they are paying you to play. So your $5 entry becomes $6 once that contest locked. Rake-free contests, reduced rate contests, and the competition is generally going to be softer than what you can find on DraftKings, FanDuel, or Yahoo. When you use promo code SABER or SaberSim when you sign up, 1, you can get up to a $500 deposit bonus, and 2, we will track your entry fees for you, and you can earn free months of SaberSim just by playing on the site and nothing else. So each time you hit one of these entry fee thresholds, we will reach out to you, let you know, hey, you have earned a free month of SaberSim. Do you want to cash in on that prize or wait for the next prize tier? Once you cash in on that prize, we will automatically reset your tracking to 0, and then you will start earning towards your next free month right away here. So if you're looking for this page, looking for this sign up link, there is a link to this promo page in the description of this YouTube video here. But looks like a couple more questions are rolling in here. Going to jump back to SaberSim. And next question from Jose said, what is one lineup rule you would recommend for such a large 14-game slate? So my default rule here that I would recommend, I'd say as a general heuristic rule, this rule is fine here. So what you do is you go to rule type group, you go to selection method automatic here, and then we're going to change this use to if. So this is going to be a rule to kind of curate your one-offs here, right? So a lot of people say, hey, I like to play one-offs who have a high likelihood of hitting a home run. And the reason for this rule is because, the Mets might only score 2 runs, but Pete Alonso might have hit a 2-run home run, right? And that's awesome. So he can kind of get to his fantasy points that pays off his salary in and of himself without anybody else on the team. Players with a low probability of hitting a home run might need a team environment to get there, right? So players who don't get a lot of home runs, they might get a single, and then they might score a run. So in order for them to score a run, somebody else has to get a hit, somebody else has to get an RBI, and you probably want to play more than one player from that team, right? So what this rule does is it helps curate your one-off pool by including players that have a higher likelihood of hitting a home run. So what this rule says, if at least one player grouped by team here who has a home run expectation less than, and then you're going to use a number here. I like to use something around 0.1, then use at least 2 players from the same team. And then what this rule will do is like, hey, if we go over here and look at your stats, let's go off Cleveland. So these are all the players with the highest likelihood of hitting a home run. If we go down here, so basically everyone above 0.1 can be used as a one-off. And then all these guys under this rule, right? You could even write it at the rule. You could do 0.11, but all these guys 0.09. So what I'm saying is, hey, if we are going to use Jurickson Profar in our lineup, I must use at least 2 other Rockies players. I do not want to use Profar just by himself because I think that if Profar is scoring runs, other Colorado players are probably scoring runs as well. So as a general basic rule here, I think this rule is great. And I would, if you're looking for a rule to start with, I think that this is a great baseline rule. So I'm going to show it one more time on the screen here. Pause the video, rewrite the rule just as I have it written here, and you should be all set. All right. Next question here from Danny. Danny said, is the filter by Geomean now gone in golf? Okay. So no, it shouldn't be. And the Geomean filter. So in order to use a Geomean filter, and let's just go to golf. We'll just go to golf. So let's say I was building lineups for today, which is the round 2 PGA event, right? And I wanted to build some showdown lineups. Going to make my 2 adjustments here. Just going to run 500 lineups. We'll get this kicked off. And just letting these lineups build here. So going to take a minute to run, and then we will get into the post build and start talking about this here. And grab some water while we wait. All right, lineups are finishing up now, loading into the post build. So now we're in the post build, right? So let's say that I want to have a Geomean number. I want to use a Geomean filter. So first thing, in order to do this, this is not a default filter. This is a custom metric that I built. So if you want to be able to use custom metrics, you have to be on the SaberSim Pro plan. But you hit this drop down, you go to add metric. I'm going to name it Geomean for my ease here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a metric that says my own product Geomean, and I'm going to do the value. So the value is going to be the actual calculation. What rank would do is it would look at how many lineups are in my pool here, and then it would give it a score of 1 to 500. But I don't want that right now. I want the actual value of the Geomean calculation. So value, name Geomean, and I'm going to hit save. So then now that I've saved this metric here that I've called Geomean, it is now going to show up as a summary statistic underneath every lineup here. And from there, once I've created this custom metric, it will be a filter option here. But without the custom metric, it will not be a filter option. So one, you got to create it as a filter, as a custom metric. And then two, it will show up as a filter. And then from here, I can go in and do a Geomean formula, figure out how many dupes I'm estimating for, and filter appropriately. So make sure that you have it written as a custom metric, and then you should be able to filter for it. Danny says the Geomean just for Golf Showdown. I wanted to use it on the Masters. So no, you could, as long as you can create this custom metric, you can use it for any slate, any MMA slate, NASCAR slate, etc. here. I know that golf contests are usually sized up for the majors here. So if there were ever a time to use it for golf, I could understand using it for a major here. So just make sure that you are on the pro plan, that you create this custom metric, and then you can filter for it. If you're not on the pro plan and you want to try it out for the Masters, if you go to your account, you should be able to sign up for a 7-day free trial of the SaberSim Pro plan. So I would say, just time it appropriately, right? So if you want to use it for the Masters here, it's Friday. So you would have that trial that would run through next Friday here. So if you started your trial today, you would, one, be able to create the custom metric, two, be able to filter, and have that access until the major kicks off. Danny said, okay, thank you. Was watching Jordan's golf video, but didn't see it. Got it now. Awesome. Glad I was able to clear that up for you. All right, everybody. We are all caught up with questions at the moment here. I know I've already kind of given a last call, so I think we'll call it there for today. But if you guys are building lineups throughout the weekend here, question pops in your head, drop it in the office hours channel, email us at support@sabersim.com. That gets us a steady queue of questions to get started with on our next show, which will be Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss it here. But until then, good luck in all of your contests. Take care. I will see you all. Thanks. Bye.